Good evening, parents. Thank you for joining us this evening for our STAAR Parent Information Night. This meeting is pre-recorded. However, it is being streamed live on YouTube. And at any time that you have a question or comment, you can go ahead and put that information in the chat box at the bottom, and we will be answering those questions live during this presentation. I want to welcome you to our presentation. My name is Mr. Medina, the principal here at Eastwood Knowles. We are also joined by Ms. Maria Gonzalez, our elementary assistant principal, and our assistant principal for the middle schools, Mr. Jerry Perez. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to try to answer as many questions as we can regarding the upcoming STAAR assessment that will be taking place at the end of April and throughout May and June. We're going to be answering some general information questions, some questions regarding algebra, as well as for our English language learners, and giving you a little bit of information about what safety will look like for our students. The first thing we want to talk about is giving you some information on TEA guidance for testing. Just so that you are aware, federal and state law, as well as TEA, requires schools in Texas to administer the STAAR and EOC for the school year. Due to COVID, those students learning at home, at home, TEA will allow parents to refuse to send their child to test in person. TEA this year has also waived the Student Success Initiative, which would have impacted our 5th and 8th grade students. Just as another reminder, all students who are here on campus will be tested with the STAAR assessment. Some general information about the impact of the STAAR assessment. The biggest thing that it will provide for our schools is data. It is going to give us a very good idea of where your child is currently functioning. As you recall, there has been no state assessment last year. So if your child doesn't test this year, that would be 2 years of cumulative data that we would not have for your child. And again, the biggest thing is that it gives us data that will guide us as we begin the 21-22 school year. At this time, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Gonzalez, who will provide you with some information regarding English language learners.
Good evening, parents. There have been questions about what students might be impacted if they do not test with the STAAR. And so definitely our English language learners would be in that category. Reclassification of EL learners requires students to reach advanced high levels on all TELPAS domains with a minimum of approaches on STAAR reading and a subjective teacher evaluation where they will be using a rubric. So in order to be reclassified, students need to take the TELPAS, score or reach advanced high levels, plus take the STAAR and get a minimum of approaches on the reading test. So it is critical that EL students that are ready to exit do come in and take the STAAR test. Students that do not take the STAAR test would not be eligible for reclassification. Mr. Perez will be presenting the Algebra 1.
Good evening, parents. Again, it's really important for you to understand that the algebra test is part of the EOC, which is the high school state assessments. In the high school, EOCs are not waived. They are going to be having to take place for the reason that the students need to pass their EOC test in order for them to be able to graduate on time. Because our 8th graders do take the algebra test, they have to play by the rules of the high school. So that test, they will have to take it at some point before they are eligible to graduate. The thing to understand is because they're going to be taking the algebra test in May, if they choose not to take it, if the parents request or refuse to give the test, the next opportunity for them to take that test will be in June. After June, there'll be another opportunity for them to take it in December. After that, there's going to be additional opportunities. The impact there is that as we move away from this year into the future, there's going to be time that's lapsed between what was taught in the classroom and when they take the test, which may impact their scores for them to be able to pass that test. So again, algebra is one of those subjects that it's probably the best opportunity for them to take it now because the content is fresh in their minds and they will be able to do better. Plus the fact that if they don't take it, then they will not be able to graduate until they pass that test. Thank you.
And lastly, we just want to reassure you that when your students are here at Eastwood Knolls and at all of our Isleta schools, that we are doing everything that we can to make sure that they are safe. And so we just wanted to go over just a little bit of the precautions that we are taking and that we will be taking on those STAAR test dates. The first thing is that we're going to be testing all of our students in the school gymnasium. We will be doing this by grade level and by content, which would in turn limit the number of students that would be inside the gymnasium testing on any given day. We will have our students spaced apart and provided with partitions at each table. We also have hand sanitizer available for students if they need it. If they need to go to the restroom, again, we have our restrooms separated to make sure that we do not have more than one student in there at a time. So again, we are doing everything that we can to make sure that your child is safe. They would be screened as soon as they walk in, provided hand sanitizer, directed to the seat that is specifically designated for them. And that same seat would be used over the course of the days that they would be testing here with us here at Eastwood Knolls. So again, we want to assure you that we are doing everything possible to make sure that when they come in, it is safe and it is clean, and we are doing everything to keep them that way during the duration of when they are here at the school taking that test. Lastly, we just want to give you an opportunity to view those testing dates. Again, because we're able to test online from the school, the state has provided us with windows of opportunities, which normally we would have tested on 3 days and then a fourth day possibly for a makeup. Because of this ability to use our computers and to have our kids test online, we now have windows available for testing dates. So as you can see, 7th grade writing begins on the 27th of April, but please notice also that once we get into May, pretty much from May 11th until well into June, we will be testing different grade levels, different contents daily until we are able to make sure that everybody has taken the STAAR assessment. And June 2nd through June 4th would be our last makeups in case students were not able to be here for that STAAR assessment. So once again, parents, we thank you for joining us this evening. We will do our best to make sure that we are answering all of the questions that you've been asking during the duration of this presentation. If there is anything that you would like to follow up with, please be assured that you can contact myself, Mr. Medina, Mr. Perez, or Ms. Gonzalez regarding any questions so that we can help you feel assured that everything will be safe for your child taking the STAAR assessment starting at the end of April. Once again, we thank you, parents. Have a good evening.